Hey, this is Jenny Jones. Welcome to the Digital Marketing Tool Shed. This is Saturdays. I'm your host, Jenny Jones. I got some fantastic news for you today. We have a fantastic guest coming up. What I wanted to do is kind of give you a little bit of housekeeping. If this is your first time here, give us a thumbs up. Let us know. Let the YouTube algorithm know that you are picking up some juice today on how to grow your business and how to create revenue. One thing we're going to do, and one thing I always guarantee here on my lives is I always guarantee that you're going to pick up at least one idea that you can move your business at least one more yard on the business football field, if you will, trying to pick up these first downs. So those, go Niners, right? I just wanted to kind of throw that in there to just try to make sure get you guys in the season. But anyway, we're gonna have our guest coming up here soon. I want to kind of set the stage for him. It's a person I met several months ago. Steve is awesome. His idea, the things that he comes up with, the concepts of how to help small businesses grow, I think is going to be a phenomenal one. You're welcome. You are going to be in for a fantastic journey. Take out your pens and papers, take out your notepads. And again, make sure once you show up, just give us a thumbs up. Let us know how we're doing here at the Digital Marketing Tool Shed. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it because we're only here for 60 minutes. That's how we do our SaaS Saturdays. Let's go ahead and welcome to the to SaaS Saturdays. Give Steve a warm welcome. Steve from PressRanger. He is a CEO. He is dynamic. Steve, welcome to SaaS Saturdays.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for having me. Super happy to be here on a Saturday and not during the work week. Got more
Yeah.
focus for you today.
Well, I mean, and that's kind of the reason why I created it. I know you're like, wait a minute, man. I got 100 things going on, right? You know what I'm saying? My sons, my sons are college age, and they're like, hey, Dad, let's do this, or whatever. I says, hey, today is SaaS Saturdays, man. They're like, Dad. I'm like, dude, you guys are grown, man. I wanted to start doing my own stuff, right? So I wanted to let them know, hey, respect SaaS Saturdays. It's only 60 minutes. So let's get right down to it. Can you share with our audience, our subscribers, our members, or anybody viewing this, what is PressRanger?
Totally. PressRanger is a tool for small businesses, startups, and really businesses of all sizes to get PR and get in the press. This is my fourth startup. I've done three before this. I've been building stuff on the internet for almost 20 years now or something like that to date myself. So with the first three companies, I sold one to Groupon, one to Booking.com, and one to a private equity fund. But during all three of them, I was very frustrated and disillusioned with the PR space. I don't think I'm alone in stating that I had wasted a lot of money on PR agencies or PR software that just didn't deliver or didn't actually fix the problem for me. It was very difficult unless you're paying those fees to actually get in the press, to get mentioned, to get your brand alongside publishers and outlets that are actually writing about companies like yours. So I started PressRanger about 4 months ago to try and fix that, to try and make it easier for businesses of all sizes to run their own PR campaigns, and for agencies and digital resellers to have all the tools they need to run PR campaigns without paying PR agencies or annual contracts or anything like that.
Nice. So because there's some people out there, right? And let me call those people out, right? There's some people out there. Why do I need PR or why do I need Press Ranger? And I've gone back and forth and I was like, hey, listen, there's something to be said about having that extra juice or attention. And a lot of people's like, well, I don't know that I need a tool like Press Ranger. And I'm like, yeah. So it's like every new thing that you do in your business, you added this element, you added that element. You can always just drive traffic by doing these press releases. Tell me a little bit about it. What do you say to those people that says, I don't need that? What do you say about to those people? I don't need Press Ranger. I don't need a tool like that because we'll get into the tool. But what do you say to those people initially?
Yeah, I think if you're going to be growing a business and online is part of your sales strategy, and that doesn't necessarily have to be either, but you're going to run into a thing where You're going to care about SEO, you're going to care about brand, and you're going to care about reputation. And that's really where PR comes in, right? There's a lot of different ways to run PR campaigns. It's not necessarily just, here's my cool company, you should write a story about it. There are so many different ways that kind of get more interwoven into the SEO landscape, right? And so no matter what, you're either going to be paying for traffic or trying to build that traffic on your own. And if you're trying to build that traffic on your own, you're going to care about SEO, you're going to care about page rank, you're going to care about domain authority. And PR helps with all those things, in addition to building trust and reputation with your customers and making sure that you're getting them where they're already browsing. So if you run, I don't know, a sports company, you're going to want to get mentioned in sports publishers so that your brand is synonymous with sports, right? Like I don't think it's possible to grow a business online if you're not paying for traffic without doing some sort of external PR. It's just going to make it a lot harder for you.
So why don't you think, and I'm just asking because we're having a conversation, we're going to get it, we're going to talk about the tool. I'm excited about it. I definitely want you guys to see it, but why don't you think people know that? Because I think the landscape's changing a little bit, but you can never have enough PR. Now, one thing I will tell you, and I think you know this already, is bad news travels a lot faster than good news. Right? That's just a fact. It's just, oh man, I had this and this company did this or whatever. Next thing you know, it goes viral. They're sharing it with 4 or 5 friends. Next thing you know, 300 people are crashing your site, giving you these bad star ratings and all that other stuff. But why do we not know that constantly putting out different things and in this day and age, right? In this battle of AI and SEO and domain authority, why do people still not know that? I guess I'm just asking that. I'm trying to figure it out, really. Hopefully you can tell me.
I think it's a really good question. I have a guess on that. And I think the guess is that up until very recently with PressRanger, it's been really impossible to find the data and tools to run these campaigns on your own. And
Hmm.
so they've really been siloed into folks and companies that are willing to spend 20K a year on the software in addition to 10K a month on the PR agency to run these campaigns for you, some of which aren't going to be successful, most of which aren't going to be successful. And I think all those tools have really been siloed behind annual contracts, aggressive salespeople, these types of things, which makes it really hard for small businesses to feel like this is something that's within their wheelhouse for growing their business. And so my whole goal with this, my whole mission with the tool is to provide those tools for everybody so that everybody can have the accessibility and opportunity to contact members of the press, pitch them on stories, and control the narrative they have with their own company.
Yeah, so one of the things that I did learn, that's a good point because so in essence, what you're saying is it's always kind of been out of reach for the small business owner because of the pricing and aggressive contracts. Oh, you need to do a contract with us for 3 years, right? And you have to commit a certain amount of dollars of the contract, even not knowing if it's going to work or drive traffic or not. Is that kind of a
Yeah.
summary? Yeah.
Let's work through an example. Let's just say you're any type of business that's trying to grow online. Doesn't matter if you're a SaaS platform or an offline business or whatever, you're still going to have some sort of online presence, right?
Yeah.
Most businesses need to own one channel really, really well, right? And a
Right.
lot of people, the easiest way to do it, if you can make it work, is paid. So you get addicted to this cycle of like, oh, I'm going to spend $10,000 a month on Instagram ads, but I'm going to make 30. So I'm just going to keep on feeding that sort of like money engine,
Right.
right?
Right.
The other way to do this is with SEO or sort of organic content, right? I'm going to build my own content. I'm going to do all these things. The thing you're going to run into really quickly is that growing your own content takes forever to grow unless you're doing some sort of guest blog, domain authority, search like rank profile
Hmm.
strategy outside of your own website, or else it just takes forever. The way
Right.
to do that is A, you do it yourself, which is using SEO tools to send a bunch of campaigns like this, or you hire a firm to do it. That
Hmm.
hiring a firm to do it part is expensive. It's opaque. A lot of those contracts don't really work out that well. There's a lot of people who just don't want to spend that money. PressRanger also fits into that as well. Like the lines are pretty blurry between SEO and PR, I would say.
Hmm.
And the goal is you want your brand out there on as many websites as possible that your audience and your customers are already looking at. Like that's the only way you're going to do that if you're not paying somebody else, right?
So we're throwing around the term SEO a lot. There may be a new viewer coming here. Do you want to kind of explain SEO a little bit, or do we both can talk about it? But in your mind, if let's say I'm a small business coach, or I run a small agency, right? And I'm trying to help other people because what I've discovered in my journey of growing my business, I've discovered there's two types of people, right? Because I'm in the SaaS space, and there's people that kind of want to tinker and DIY, right, to do it yourself. They kind of want to do that, but then there's these other people that says, I don't have time to do it. I'm gonna throw money at it, and if the money makes sense, then I'll let them kind of do the work for me. So if I am that person that says, "Oh, well, I run an agency, I'll do the work for you," right? And I think press, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Whereas you can be a helper, right? Because my audience is people that even run a small agency and says, "Hey, listen, I think my business is doing well or my business is growing, but I want to help others grow and get the press." I think one of the things Press Ranger allows us to do is to be able to be an agency for someone else. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yep, absolutely. So the goal with all of this is that anybody can run their own PR campaign or SEO campaign or any sort of like external press that you're trying to get. And so there's the tools to do that within PressRanger. And to your point, there's always going to be folks who don't have the time slash don't want to run those campaigns themselves.
Right.
One of our core customer segments on the platform right now are agencies and resellers, which are folks that will go and look on either gig sites or have their own audience or their own communities who are already interested in growing their businesses and know how to do that with PressRanger, and then just have ongoing retainers where they're using PressRanger for their clients and just doing the automated stuff within our platform for your audience, your customers, things like that. So we're set up for both of those segments. Anybody can operate the tool. You can set up multiple profiles. You can run it for clients. You can release press releases for clients. You can do anything within the tool on behalf of yourself or for clients.
Oh, okay. Because I don't think a lot of people knew that, right? So to me, I think that I love it when founders, hey, say, hey, here's how you can use it for you to continue to grow your business. And oh, by the way, if you want to help someone else grow their business, because what's going to happen is if I'm constantly sending out these press releases, maybe I send out one every 2 months or maybe one every month of different things that I'm doing in my business. Hey, we've just added this, we've just added that. If I'm doing that, and then someone says, "Man, who's doing your press releases? Who's putting all that?" I says, "Oh, I do it myself." Then I can actually pick up a client that way. So that is that two revenue streams that we just talked about there.
Yep, absolutely.
That you guys know I'm the king of revenue streams. I think you guys they know that about me because I'm always thinking outside the box. But is that one way we can actually? That is another way we can use Press Ranger, right?
At the moment, that's the way most people are using PressRanger, I
Okay,
would say.
okay.
Of managing, whether it's called PR or not, is sort of depends on what that business is. But I think for people running an SEO agency, a digital marketing company, a web development company, really anything where you have an audience, all of your clients should be interested in getting in the press. So helping them do that is almost a no-brainer add-on you can put on to existing retainers, existing packages, and the existing ways that you bill your clients. So we have a lot of folks in the SEO space, a lot of folks in the coaching space, a lot of folks who just have an existing audience who are just bolting on PR campaigns onto their existing platforms or
Hmm.
programs, and then managing those via PressRanger and having a really nice upsell to boost their own revenue.
Yeah. So now you guys already know how I do here at the Digital Marketing Tool Shed. You guys know that the things that I teach in my workshops and my classes for just growing your businesses, don't try to build a single pronged agency where you're just offering one service because it makes you replaceable, right? I think Press Ranger is a sweetener to already what you're doing. So let's just say, for example, oh, I design websites for people, which is so first generation, right? He was like, oh, I just design websites. Okay, there could be a very busy person out there that really just needs somebody to just build and maintain their website. There's those people like that. Hey, I have a side gig. I have a guy named Jenny Jones building my websites, keeping me up to date. Well, they can easily replace you, and what they're probably going to replace you with is price, right? That's the number one thing. Is oh, Jenny, I replaced you. Why'd you replace me? Well, this person's $10 cheaper, right? Versus, hey, I do websites and he does my PR for me. Oh, okay, right. So it's a sweetener. I think Press Ranger is that sweetener. So now let's talk about. So again, lesson one, right? Don't try to build a single pronged agency, right? That's the lesson that I would give if you're a small agency trying to grow and scale. Make sure you have a couple of things in your coffer or a couple of things in your tool bed to offer them. I think PR is an excellent piece that you can add, an inexpensive piece that you can add, but a very valuable piece. All right, so um, let's talk about your database of and give us that theory behind traditional versus how Press Ranger kind of helps you with that of the
Yeah,
contacts and
so
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, there are 4 or 5 existing really big PR platforms that have kind of had a cartel type of situation in the market for the
Cartel,
past,
really?
yeah, for the past like 10 plus years.
Oh wow.
They're all hidden behind annual contracts, starting at about 10K a year and going up to about 20 or 30K a year. And really the bulk of that platform is the media database. So when I say media database, I mean you can search and filter journalists based on the stories that they cover. So let's say
Mm,
that we're trying to get press for the digital tool shed or this like hypothetical web design company, things like this. I can go into the tools, I can say, hey, give me all the journalists who write about, digital marketing, website development, things like that. I can target them and send them PR campaign sort of pitches and say, hey, you should cover my business. It's cool. Here's a story. Here's a press release, et cetera, et cetera. That's traditionally been, I call them kind of legacy PR software companies now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We're here to replace those. So like I would call them digital stalwarts. So like they're not really innovating on the technology side of things. And they've just kind of like had this monopoly for the past 10 years that no one's really been able to break up. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're making all those tools accessible at a much lower price for no annual contracts. And then also bolting on a lot of tools on top of that we hope are like the innovative way that people can run PR campaigns now, but also for sure in a year, 2, 3 years from now as well. So included in that tool set that I just mentioned is we have an AI campaign tool. So you say, hey, I'm running PressRanger. We just announced whatever we announced. We announced a new tool. We'll go and look through the database of millions of journalists, publishers, outlets, radio stations, podcasts, everything you can imagine, and give you a list of people that it thinks you should contact, along with writing a pitch email that's been drafted by AI, and then also drafting a press release in AI too. It's kind of like the easiest way to start a PR campaign. So there's the AI campaign tool. We also have a wholesale press release distribution service. So the way that this works now, bigger public companies and also smaller ones too use press releases to announce milestones within their business. The way this happens now is that people spend anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, depending on the press release and the size of the company, to get that news out there. We went and made a deal directly with a regulatory newswire and the publishers themselves so that we could offer wholesale pricing to our users directly so they wouldn't have to spend that kind of money. We did this specifically for the agency use case, the reseller use case,
Whoa,
that
whoa, whoa,
instead
whoa, whoa,
of,
whoa. Steve.
yeah,
Back up. You are giving a mouthful, and I don't think people are kind of getting this. Yeah, I mean, to you, because you're in this space, it makes more sense. Give me a use case. Let's talk about an actual use case. You can use me, for example, or let's say I have an academy, online academy that I'm doing for youth, right? And there's just been a passage of a law here in California of every youth needing financial literacy before they graduate. So using my use case, and I want everybody to understand the power in what you just said. I don't think people are getting that. So if I have, and I just released a new class, right, for my particular company, are you saying that I can get a wholesale distribution deal with multiple outlets at one? Let's walk through that. I don't that kind of went over a lot of people's head.
totally.
So yeah, tell me what.
Thank you for slowing me down. And
Yeah,
so let's use this great example, right? Like you announced this new program that you launched in response to sort of California's new regulation
sure.
on the youth needing financial literacy.
Right.
Let's say there was a service out there hypothetically where you could have a deal directly with Business Insider, Market Watch, Yahoo
All
Finance,
the big
AP
dogs.
News, all of these tier one publishers to get your
Right.
press release directly onto their press release feeds for significantly cheaper than anything out there on the market. Would that
Hmm.
seem like a cool thing to do to get your news and name out there, not only from like the journalist perspective, but also just from your potential customer perspective. Now, when they Google the name of the program or your name or whatever, they're going to see your course, but also going to see you in the news. They're going to see you on Business Insider. They're going to see you on AP News. They're going to see you on Yahoo Finance. And
Hmm.
like the the reputational boost that provides is pretty invaluable. And
Hmm.
so the way that's happened recently, up until we launched our new service, people were spending $1,000, $2,000, even more in a lot of cases to distribute news like that. We have a wholesale pricing deal that we negotiated, passed directly onto our users, no middlemen, no markups, no nothing,
Mm.
to let you do that at cost, essentially.
Wow, that's major. Because I think a lot of people, and is that something that Google now, is that part of their reputation model, or their, is that, can you want to talk a little bit about that? Because this is, all comes together. And again, you guys know we're always trying to figure out to get an edge and how we can grow our business here on the Digital Marketing Toolshed. Let's talk about this reputation thing and how the Press Ranger can actually help us with that.
There's a couple different pieces here. So, like the press release distribution world, I'm going to get a little technical on the SEO side. It's been around for a long time. The problem is that what used to be a really good SEO boost has now been kind of watered down by a bunch of really low quality services. So a lot of like the existing distribution services don't really help with PageRank. We went and used every single one of their services, then made deals directly with publishers in a lot of cases to try and get the biggest SEO boost for one press release. So what
Mm.
we're offering is completely different than everything else in the market. It's completely new. So like there's the SEO component of that. Then there's also like the client and reputational part too, which is I
Mm.
think in some cases more important. So if you're running an agency and you're launching websites or running SEO campaigns or basically doing anything for a business, why not bolt on a press release that goes to Business Insider, MarketWatch, Yahoo Finance, AP News, all these different tier one publishers for your clients for every piece of news that feels newsworthy. New website launch, new SEO campaign, new anything that happens within that company. Why wouldn't you want that in the news?
Wow. So I remember, right? So I took some courses, and I have an undergrad in business marketing, and it's changed since I got my undergrad degree. But one thing that has not changed is trying to help reporters or editors out, right? And I think we may talk about Hero a little bit here, help a reporter out. But one thing I do know is they're always looking for stories because they're trying to drive traffic to their platforms as well. And they have to do a certain amount of articles, and they have to generate amount of traffic. So because there's certain types of reporters reporting on certain things, some may be reporting on housing, some may be reporting on banking or different things like that. If your business is in that realm, if you pitch them, that's, people kept asking me, how did you get on ABC? I remember I was on ABC, and it was actually easier than I thought, right? And I'm not gonna say it was a it was I'm not gonna say it was a Herculean effort. It's just once I understood the concept, it became easier to me. And what I mean by that is I had to find someone that was writing about the news that I was getting ready to try to publish, right? I had to find that. So I didn't have a database. I had to do a lot. It took me about a week just to find at least three people that would be probably interested in what I did. With your tool, I can find in 3 minutes, right? I can find in 3 minutes these people that write on these articles. So it took me over a week, and I had to dig that out. And then once I found the person, I pitched the story. And what I did was I put myself in their shoes of, would this help my audience out? I had to research them. I had to look at what kind of articles they wrote, and then I had to pitch my article in that same frame. What do you think about that? What do you and then next thing you know, I got a call that said, "Hey, we want to interview you on the show." I was like, "Wait, what? What just happened?" And that all happened that fast. So talk about that a little bit. That was crazy, and I haven't did it in a while. My wife told me, she says, dude, chill out. She's like, build the business a little bit more. She was on me. She was like, dude, build the business more before you start appearing on TV and all of that. I was like, hey, she just didn't want me to. be out there. But go ahead, Steve. What do you
I
think
mean,
about that?
a TV appearance is always going to help. There's no question on that.
Yeah.
Whether, the business will get built, so the TV appearance is always helpful. But yeah, your strategy sounds almost exactly what we teach within our guides, and also the platform enables you to do. And so, to be clear, like you always could have done this, right? Like you always could have went on ABC or some publisher website, tried to find people writing about businesses like yours, then go try and find some other tool to find their email addresses, then send them a cold email with your pitch. Like that's always possible.
Yeah.
The problem is that it's really cumbersome and time consuming, right? Like you said, it took a week to find relevant journalists and it took a long time to pitch the story. And like it sounds like you did it really well in that you had the result that you wanted, but there's a lot of people out there who have done that and not had that result and just kind of wasted their time because it's really hard to find information about journalists, what they write about. It's really hard to find their contact information. And then also knowing the framework of how to pitch that is equally difficult. And so when people generally pay a PR agency, that's more or less what they do. Like you kind of hope that they have existing networks and relationships, which the good ones do.
Mm-hmm.
But the less good ones, or even a lot of the good ones too, like it is just more of like, we're going to do that work for you, which if you want to pay an expensive PR agency to do it, like more power to you.
In the range of how much? In the range of how much?
Anywhere from 5 to 50K a month, I would say, depending on the size of the business.
Are you serious? Or are you just pulling my leg here?
PR is very expensive, and it's very expensive because, like I said, there's been this cartel behind the scenes that's kept the software, kept the pricing really, really high for a long time, and it's been really difficult for people to run these campaigns on their own.
He said
that's the whole point. That's why we're doing
this cartel. Let me AI that real quick. I want to give you the definition of cartel.
I promise you that definition is going to be spot on with this.
All right, let me. This is funny. I'm pulling this up live. It said. It says a cartel is a group of independent businesses or organizations that agree to cooperate rather than compete with each other. So it includes price fixing, right? Production control and So you're saying they basically they control everything in one cost and pricing. Hey, make sure you don't drop below this pricing. So it's a coordinated effort. So you're saying it's a coordinated effort in trying to keep people out and just trying to keep a monopoly to charge people 20 to 30 to 40, 50 grand a month.
That's it. And it props up the PR industry. And I'm not really here to sell to PR agencies. Like they already have their stuff figured out. They have the tools. They obviously can use PressRanger. What I'm really building this for is folks who are running a startup, running a small business, running a large business, whatever. You have internal people who are doing marketing that you want to have the tools on their own to do to create your own destiny. That's really what it comes down to, right? Like you shouldn't have to do that. And until now, you did have to do that if you wanted to get your name in the press or go through the process that you're saying where you spend a week looking for journalists and then pulling your hair out trying to get that to happen.
I spent a lot of time. I just went through and I just was trying to. It took me a long time. You didn't know if you had the right contact, right? You're sending these emails. You don't know if they're coming back. So you guys can drop your questions below. I do have a question from Big Kev's World. Shout out to Big Kev. I think he's in Australia. Are you in Australia, Kev? I think he is. I can't remember. He says, how does the PR article work? Does it count as duplicate content by Google by same content appearing on many sites? If I understand his question, he's like, hey, if I send out a PR article or I use your wholesaling network and they put out 5 or 6 articles, each network, the Newsweek, everybody, CBS, everybody's putting on these articles. What he's saying is, does it count by duplicate contact by Google? I can tell you one thing, it is pushing up your domain authority, but I'll go ahead and let you see if you can answer that one if I understand that question correctly.
Yeah, it's a good question. And so with SEO, just for context, if you get the same article, like same guest blog published on 100 different sites, at some point, Google just says, we don't care, this is duplicate content. It doesn't affect your rank. Press releases are different because they're newsworthy mentions of a company. And so there's a couple different pieces to this. Within our service specifically, not within other ones, most of the links that you get are do follow SEO juice related links. So there's, in the wholesale package, there's more than 350 placements that are guaranteed. 150 of them are like tier 1 publishers Financial Post, Street Insider, AP News, Market Watch, all the ones I mentioned before, Business Insider, et cetera, et
Sure.
cetera. So there's a lot. It's not a couple duplicates, it's 300, and it's identical content because it's a news release, but it does not count against as duplicate content on Google's standpoint because it's a press release, not like a blog. It's different than, it needs to be framed as a press release too, which means it needs to be framed as an announcement of a milestone or launch or something like that within a company, not the same way that you'd read like a blog or something like that. And the AI within PressRanger can help you write that for any company, for any announcement in one click.
Oh, got it. Yeah, so it's a little bit different in that. Okay, so I did once before, and so somebody may be out there says, why wouldn't I just use is it Hero or Hero? Help a reporter out, I think is what it called. Why wouldn't I just use that and just pitch to them, pitch to these reporters with these stories? So just in case you guys don't know, right, is that's a service where there's these reporters. This is an old service too. I think it's kind of dated too. I don't even think that model works anymore. But what they used to do was, it used to be a really, people used to do this a lot. And this was like, to me, I think it was the beginning of the breaking up of the cartels a little bit, where you'd have these reporters that come on there and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a story to write about inflation, right? Um, and I need someone, an expert in this area that can help me write a story about inflation." And then you would go on this website and you would do all that. What about a person that's out there saying, "Hey, I can just still continue to do that. I can tell you the pros and cons of that, but I'll let you go ahead and say it, and I'll tell you what happened the last two times that I did it."
Yeah, I can give some context there too. So
Sure.
Haro, Help a Reporter Out, is this service that has, to your point, been around for a really long time, where journalists go on and make requests for people commenting and providing quotes in a story. To your example, hey, I'm writing a story about inflation. Who can give me a quote about some specific part about inflation? Let's say you're an economist or someone who's really intertwined in like that landscape. You can go and put that comment in and then hope that reporter is going to pick it out. What's happened over time, so circa the last like 2 years or so, is that those have gotten so big that those journalists who put out those pitch requests get so inundated with spam, it kind of has become useless. And so the guy who started Haro sold it to Cision, which is a large PR platform. It's now called Connectively. The way that they just made it so to try and prevent spam was make it pay for access. So now it's $30 a month. You get limited pitches, which in theory cuts down on spam. There are also 10 other, I would say, places to kind of like field pitch requests. But to get to your real question, like how is this different than what I'm building at PressRanger? The difference is that if you're pitching a journalist one-to-one, hey, I got a great story for ABC News. I'm the right profile for the stories that you write. My name is Jenny Jones. Here's my deal. Here's the pitch. That journalist is only looking at one email, right? Or they're looking at more, but like it's only one email that you're pitching a story about. It's one to
Sure.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Haro stuff is, hey, I'm looking for a comment on inflation from someone who knows what they're talking about. They might get 5,000 from that. And so the chances of you getting the coverage from that are really, really low. But at the same time, the link that you do get if you kind of play that game is worthwhile because you're going to get a source mention, and in theory, you're going to get a backlink. Like it is useful. There's no question on that. But it's a very time-consuming and cumbersome game to play. One of the
Wow.
things we are building into PressRanger is a
Mm-hmm.
centralization tool for journalist requests. So like I said, there's like 10 different places now, 10 big places, like meaningful places where journalists post requests like that, but it's really difficult to track all 10 of them. So we're going to pull all of the requests that journalists make into one section of PressRanger. So if you do want to play the Haro game, you can do it all from the tool.
So let me ask you this question, right? You talked about it. Can you give us the breakdown of the different tiers? Like you said, there's tier one, meaning your CBS, your NBC, your what does that really mean? Let's just do a little educating for the audience here. And what type of traffic do we want to bring to our particular business?
Yeah, let's go back to your example of California changed the regulations. I got a new program for the youth to teach them financial literacy.
It was
Super
July
important
2nd, by
stuff.
the way. It was July
July
2nd, by
2nd.
the way. I do
It launched
remember it
July
very,
2nd.
yes, I do
Okay.
remember it very specifically because it was a major bill. And my wife says, "Honey, what does that mean to our business?" I say, "Hey, that means we'll be rich." No, I'm just kidding. I have to. have to get the word out. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
No,
wanted
you're good. So in that example, we want to get the word out about this thing, right? We can put out a press release so we can get, we can use PressRanger, use this wholesale service. We're not
sure.
paying markups or middlemen. We get our press release on Business Insider, MarketWatch, Yahoo Finance, all these things. After that, that's always going to help. But then after that, what do we do? Well, so we can go and actually pitch. We want to pitch the top tier publishers and outlets that we can think of, right? Why would we pitch someone with a brand new YouTube channel, a super small audience? We could, might be easier, but what we really want is like the coverage on ABC, right? We want to get interviewed on TV. We want to get a radio interview. We want to get like a placement on New York Post. And the best way to do that is just go and find a journal, exactly like you did, but PressRanger makes this easier. Go find journalists writing about companies like yours, send them a pitch of an actual story, not just, hey, my company's cool, write a story about it. Pitch them an actual story, kind of do their job for them because they have an unending desire for good content on the web, right? And they're on the same stressful path that business owners are on of, I got to fill up this page, I got to get eyeballs, I got to get audience, all these things. We're just helping them out with their job. We're saying, hey, we know the kind of content that you write. Here's an example story about my business or about a quote that I'm providing or whatever it is. We'd love for you to cover it. Send out some of those. You get press, you get mentions, you build the SEO rank, you build reputation, you build brand. It's kind of it's the playbook now, I would say, for growing alongside organic content.
Yeah, got it. Got it. So Big Kev's World from UK, he says, so if I wanted to launch a crypto course, oh my goodness, crypto course, with all the positive and negative news around it, would tier one websites touch that, or would I have to go with a different announcement to build visibility? I don't know if that's actually a question for you versus that's a strategy, right? And so, can you reach tier one outlets with PressRanger? The answer to that is yes, you can. Now, if this is your strategy, so let me give you an idea, or let me add to this, and I'll let Steve pick up on this. What I would do is once crypto is in the news, right? And it says, hey, blockchain is taking over with AI or whatever. Now, what you can do instead of pitching a crypto course, you can create an article around your expertise in talking about crypto. And then, oh, by the way, that brings domain authority, but I think you can then probably write another blog or something that goes along with it and kind of helps it out. But I think going directly and pitching someone a crypto course, or you could possibly do something like, hey, crypto getting a bad rap, right? And then you can say, hey, I think it was, but that's the reason why I created a course or something. You can add to that, Steve. What do you got to that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think there's a couple different parts here. One is like, will the tier one websites talk about crypto? The answer is yes, totally. The only thing they won't do is talk about a specific coin that is not listed on a publicly listed exchange website like a coin market cap or something like that. So if you're getting paid by like some random token or whatever to like post press releases and things like that, or make fake news to try and pump up the price, they've gotten really good at identifying that, and that's not really possible. But to your example of, can I launch a crypto course and pitch that to tier one websites? The answer is yes, of course. I would say there's a couple different prongs to that. One is the press release part is actually quite easy. That's just a button click on PressRanger. Hey, Big Kef's World announces their new crypto course called Crypto for Teens, just to use the youth financial literacy, though I don't know if crypto considers itself as financial literacy for teens. But in any case,
No, let's keep that separate. But go ahead.
sorry, that's Jenny's moneymaker too. We don't want to take
Hey,
that.
don't be messing with my money, man. Nah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So
Go
like we're
ahead.
launching this crypto course. There's a press release that comes out with that. You're going to get that news again, Business Insider, MarketWatch, Yahoo Finance, all these tier one publishers.
Right.
Then we want to go and pitch individual stories about it. So we could touch that on the regulational changes that are happening in California. We could tie that into news of the days, which is otherwise known as like news jacking. It's like something in crypto happens. You write an article where you're commenting on that, but then also including a link to the course, explaining how the course fits into that news cycle, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's sort of the approach to launching something like that on tier one publishers, getting PR for it, SEO, all those things.
Okay. All right. So I mean that's Yeah, that big Kev, that's how you can go about that. So, is there anything else you wanted to share, Steve, about the new strategy, the new, is your AI press releases, can it be accepted into these AI trying to get around, I think they said Google was trying to identify what is good AI or what is AI and how they're classifying it. How is your model that you're using? How is that being perceived in the SEO world with the Googles and the Yahoos?
Yeah, so the what I was saying before is that the press release distribution world, it used to be a really big growth hack for SEO to do press releases.
Sure,
And what happened over time was that a lot of companies jumped in, watered down what a press release became, and there really isn't that much like boost that you get in the SEO space now. Our
sure.
releases are different. They're, like I said before, it's 370 or so placements on the premium package for $299. More than 300 of them are do follow links that count for SEO. There's no package that's even close to that. There's a reason why we went through 30 plus services, did test releases across tons of different wires before settling on making a deal directly with the publishers and news wires themselves. It's because that's the only way we could guarantee the quality that we have. There's just nothing else like that now at that price point. People are selling similar stuff for us for $2,000, if not more. The reason why we priced it like that at the wholesale pricing is so people who are resellers, who are agencies, who have clients and audience can go and take that margin themselves, which is the why we're building this tool. So on the SEO side of things, if you're running an SEO agency, if your clients care about SEO, if they want extra backlinks, this is the easiest way on the internet right now to get that to happen.
Hmm. Okay, so how many do you count the level of tier ones, tier twos, tier three in your database, or you just count them as an all inclusive database? And what types of contacts do you have? Do you have bloggers? Do you have YouTubers? Do you have news affiliates? Do you have what kind of give us? We want to know what your database is and how many first. How many do you have first contacts in there?
There are two segments of the media database. So the first one is journalists. So there's more than 500,000 journalists that are in the database. And then the
Hmm.
second one is publishers. So there's more than 500,000 publishers as well. So together, there's more than a million contacts. And that's across, to your point, kind of everything. There's blogs, there's radio, there's TV, there's obviously like media, like online media, and
There's
kind of everything
podcasts
in
too.
between, podcasts, everything in between
So you
to try
have
and
over a
go.
million. Hold on, I think that got by me, and I don't know we've talked it. I didn't know you have over a million contacts in your database in
We
Press
haven't talked
Ranger.
in it. We haven't talked in a few months too, so it could be new.
A million contacts in Press Ranger.
More than a million contacts in PressRanger.
A million plus. Okay. All right. And so you're saying that you have YouTubers, you have what about your tier ones? I'm interested in that. I'm just throwing that out there.
There's no like definition of a tier one, but I would say any online media company that you've heard of and like a name brand part, I guarantee you we have their newsroom contacts and also individual contacts for journalists there. Rather than like the profile of what the person does, I kind of think about it more as like what the use case is.
Hmm.
So if you want to get a guest blog published, if you want to get your own self or your client booked on a podcast, if you want to publish a press release, if you want to uh, work on digital PR campaigns to try and get backlinks or like link fixing type of campaigns, which is another sort of SEO hack that people use a lot. Like the database will work for you for any of those use cases, which is 98% of PR right now.
So how can my viewers, and I think we kind of talked about it once, but I want to see a good use case of a person that's viewing this now and they're like, I kind of want to start a business. And I want to, and you're suggesting if you want to start a business, here's the reason why you want to use Press Ranger today, based on everything that's going on versus you got the AI challenges, not challenges, but you got the AI growth, and you got some people saying, "Hey, I want to start a side business or a side hustle." Let's call it side business, side hustle. why should I start or why should I invest in a monthly investment of PressRanger, an agency model? And now I kind of want to work through the numbers a little bit as we kind of wrap up. But I want to visualize. I want people to visualize starting a business with PressRanger because I think this can be a very lucrative business. So I want to understand from you why PressRanger. There's a lot of tools I could start a business with. Why would I start one with PressRanger?
Yeah, one is that the tools to manage these campaigns are silent behind really expensive annual contracts. And so the tools being available to a broader swath of people is a very new thing, like since we've launched. So if you look on, if you're, let's say we're just talking about starting a side hustle and kind of how do we build up this thing from scratch? If I have any audience already, offering them press releases, PR services, SEO services via PR, all of that is kind of a no-brainer, right? You're managing campaigns in PressRanger, billing whatever you want to bill to your clients. We see 95% margins from our agencies and resellers. Like there's a lot of markup and a lot of money that's left on the table solely because that's the model that we're going for. So if you already have an audience, it's the easiest thing in the world. Just sign up, run campaigns for your customers. The tool kind of does most of the work for you. Bill whatever you want on the agency side. If you're starting something new, sorry, go for it. You got a question?
Yeah, I have a question because I wanted to try to make sure we stay focused on me helping a person do the numbers and figuring out. You gave margins, right? 95% margins. Let's talk real numbers so they're able to understand that because a lot of people, I have novices here, I have beginners. So if it's costing me $149 a month for your pro plan and I can manage 5 companies, let's say the real numbers for what they are. So I could actually put and help me out with this. I can actually put a person on retainer. So I do another search of the local businesses in my area, right? And I go to them and say, hey, you need more juice to your restaurant. You want to let people know that you have a new menu item or you've changed this or you have a new cook that came in from New York or whatever. If I wanted to drive traffic to that, or there's a new dentistry that opened up, I can go to them and pitch them because they're not getting that juice from anywhere. To me, I think this is the easiest thing to do is to start in your local market, right? So I really want to help somebody out here. I think somebody's going to get this and it's going to click with them. It's going to make a lot more sense. If I was paying $149, $150 a month, I can go to a new dentistry that just opened up that wants the press and go to them and say, hey, let's do a press release on your new business, and then let's profile even some of your new dentists that came there. Or I can mix it with a business, like if I'm running a Brilliant Directories, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that particular business. It's a business that finds you can use a directory to start featuring a lot of little small businesses in your area as a directory. So if I'm using a 149, if I'm paying the 149, how much can I go to a person at first press release? I look at it, or I make contacts with the Chamber of Commerce in my local area, and it says, hey, I go there, introduce her, hey, I do press releases for people, right? And they if that first one, this is a blueprint, man. This is so it's coming to me now. It's like this is a no freaking brainer. But if I'm paying you guys 149 a month, what that first press release that first press release package that I do for someone or that campaign that I pitch, what and to even get them, what could they charge in essence, average? Let's use a median number to
We
even
have
get.
over
We're trying to cover our costs of 149. But go ahead. I want you to finish. I gave you a mouthful there.
it's a really good question. We have over 50 resellers right now that are reselling these individual press releases. The average price that they sell them at is $1,400. The raw wholesale cost is 300. So you sell one press release,
Sure.
you've covered the cost of the tool for
Entire
five
year.
months or something
Yeah,
like
5 months.
that,
Yeah.
if not even more. Yeah.
Yeah. So one press release for one particular company. I just had this fantastic idea. Actually, it's funny. When I'm taking these founders and I start thinking, I was like, man, you could actually do if you combine that with a brilliant directories and you do these press releases and you're getting with the chamber or the small business, you could blow up an entire city, not blow up meaning bad, meaning as far as publicity. Sorry, that may have been a wrong use of words, but I think most of the people understand what I'm saying. You could take over an entire, just your city. You could literally just take over, just be the press release. Oh, that's a press release guy.
You're getting it. And there's no business out there that doesn't want to be on Business Insider, Market Watch, Yahoo Finance. And
Yeah.
everybody who's listening to this has access to the exact same tool now to make that happen at a significantly lower price than it has been available in the past. And it's ready there for you to resell, to go out. You can do it with any business. It just has to be a newsworthy announcement. It can't be a blog. And we can help you guys like figure that part out. And the AI will write it for you. So it's really easy. But like, you can offer that to any business at any price that you want. You don't need to apply. You don't need to whatever. Like you can go and resell those today if you wanted.
That I honestly, listen, Steve, I kind of just, I've been saying it, right? Because I've always been kind of thinking about my business. Because I do have my core business that I'm in, right? I do the youth, I do the SaaS tools and interviewing people and discovering the growth and showing people how to use these tools. But I never really thought of just creating just a PR firm just locally, right? Just being the local. Oh, that's the PR guy.
You
That
could
is
be the PR
crazy.
guy. You can also be just like the media campaign guy, which is even broader, right? And like people
Yeah.
have their own connotation on what PR is.
Yeah.
If you just use something broad like media campaign, then hey, do you want to get your business on Business Insider, Market Watch, Yahoo Finance? They're all going to rank on Google because they're huge publishers. Like you can do this today with any business. It's pretty cool. And we're seeing people do that and it's working. So it's been a really cool experience.
That's kind of I'm actually just digesting that. I'm glad, kind of glad you, because you allow me to see this in another light, right? I do have a confession at the end, so I want everybody to know that. Do not let me forget my confession, right? I always kind of give these confessions to think people think I'd be listening to Usher a lot, right? Usher is a reference. He sings this song called Confessions, right? He starts telling all these confessions. So I just want to put that out. So Anthony is basically saying, I am all in on this to the fullest. I saw their vision and updates and knew this was a powerful tool. The selling of PR campaigns is a major side hustle, plus growing one's own business. Yeah, it's like a two-pronged effect, man. I think we talked about that early on. It's like you could still do your own press releases on the things you're doing, right? You know what I'm
Why
saying?
wouldn't there's no reason not to. Like it
Yeah,
used to
it's
be cost prohibitive. It used to be really expensive. We just made it not. Like why wouldn't you put your own announcements in the news? So like I do it for PressRanger. Say, hey, we just hit this milestone. It for sure has to be a press release, right? Like it's
I was
easy.
having this discussion with Mark. Mark was on here. I don't know if he's still here. And Mark's in the automotive industry, right? He teaches these classes, right? He teaches classes on um, how people could become better at auto sales, right? He's got 30 years, 35 years teaching, and that's a game that's changing, right? And so he's one of the OGs in just teaching people how to sell, how to greet customers and all that. And he's like, why would I use a tool like PressRanger? And I was like, wait, what? You can announce new classes that you just taught, right? So you like there's every it's like every holiday the auto dealerships do these right. Hey, we're having our Labor Day sale, right? We're having our Memorial Day sale, we're having our Fourth of July sale. These are the auto dealerships. You can announce your press releases around the same time that they do that. Says, hey, we just announced our new auto sales academy, just in time for the Labor Day holiday to try to. I told him, I said, you could do a press release every week, literally. What do you think about
So
that?
so
Well,
this is good news because it means if Mark's not going to do it, somebody else can go out and sell to those car dealerships. And now Mark's not going to get that revenue. Now somebody on the call is going to get that revenue.
Mark, come on, man, do this. I told him, and it was like it's like sometimes as we kind of wrap up here, it's like sometimes, and I struggle with this, right? um, I'm trying to tell people certain things, and they're like, "No, I don't see that." I'm like, "No, you." I'm like, "No, literally, you can't see this, and then you do this." Because I love tools, right? I was like, "Well, if you connected that tool with this tool, dude, you can have a super tool that you can just pretty much put on autopilot." And so here's my confession as we go into that, as we kind of wrap up our 60 minutes here. And I really appreciate you stopping by. I'm fascinated. I'm even more juiced and jazzed about this tool now than ever before. Um, Here's my confession. Steve is like, uh-oh, what is what is this about? Both Steve and I live in California too, so we are about hustling and grinding out here, or you will be consumed. So my wife came to me. She says, "Hey, I'm thinking about retiring." I was like, "Wait, what? What do you mean you're thinking about retiring?" I was like, what do you mean you're thinking about retiring?" She's like, "I think I'm gonna be done here soon." I was like, "I thought we were gonna, hang out and just still kind of grind it out." She says, "I'm tired of grinding." You're right. And she says, "I'm just tired of grinding." And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Maybe I can help you in one of your businesses." I was saying to myself, I don't know if I really want her kind of in my businesses, right? But what I'm just got, she's a good shaking hands and kissing babies type of person. That's just who she is. I'm thinking about putting her. I'm thinking. I just got that, and like I said, that's my confession because she says I want to retire. She'll make more in retirement than she's making now, and all that other stuff. She's been doing stuff for 33, 34 years. She says I just want to do something different. She says I just want to do stuff where I don't have to think. I just kind of want to just help people, right? And I'm like, man, I get. That's my confession that I can actually put my wife to work using PressRanger and making it a layup and making it so easy for her, and that creates another revenue stream that can do anywhere between 5 to 7 grand a month if you're charging $1,500
We
per.
have we have a number of people who are doing more than 20K a month reselling press
Wait,
releases.
are you? No, stop, Steve. Don't,
There's a number
Steve.
of
Do
them.
not pull my leg. We have witnesses on this podcast right now, or someone may see this later. Are you telling me that people are making upwards of 20? All kidding aside,
So let's do some napkin math. Let's say you
let's do
have
some napkin.
more than 100 people in whatever audience or newsletter or anything like that that you offer. And it doesn't matter. Anything you have more than 100 eyeballs.
So you're
You only
saying, so
really
I have a
need
newsletter with at least 100 people on the list.
correct. Or just
Okay.
any sort of way where you have that audience, whether it's
Okay, I got it.
followers, whether it's whatever.
Yeah,
Let's
whether
say
it's
that your
Facebook
conversion
group
rate
or whatever. Yeah, okay, got
exactly.
it, got it. Go ahead.
Let's say your conversion rate on selling a press release or selling a media campaign, we're going to call it, is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 to 10%.
Yeah,
And you're going to sell each one of those for upwards of $1,000.
right.
I'll let you do the math on that, but like most people have more than 100 people if you're really trying to build an audience
Sure,
online, right?
sure.
So if you have 1,000 people in a newsletter or 1,000 customers in like a different business or 1,000 people that you've worked with on a different business, it doesn't actually take that much to sell people on the idea that they should put their news on Business Insider and Market Watch and Yahoo Finance. So the conversion rates that we're seeing on those are higher than 5 to 10% in a lot of cases, especially when you've already built up trust from 5, 10 years of an existing business, which you don't have to have. But
Hmm.
like it's kind of a no-brainer to offer this as an add-on service because who would say no to that?
All right, this is crazy. So what I have, and people know, they know me, they know I love tools. I just put three tools together that I can probably do about 50K. I just did the math. I did the napkin math.
Exactly.
So listen, I can make 50K a month with these three types of tools. I'm not gonna name I'm gonna name two specific tools, but the other one is it's a variable that a lot of people could possibly use. So let me give you this as we close out. I could use, right, and I like the napkin stuff. I like to put up a whiteboard. We don't have time to do that because we're about to wrap up. You could basically take a social media posting platform of your choice, whichever one you use, right? There's plenty of those out there, right? Very low cost. So social media posting platform. That's one tool. You could use a tool like a Brilliant Directories that you could even charge a membership to be even part of that, right? So that I don't know, you can charge anywhere between $5 to $7 just to be a part of the directory, right? So that's a Brilliant Directories, and inside of there, you can generate the blog posts for your actual people, the new dentist, the new cleaners that just came on board, the new restaurant that just came on board. You could charge them an actual they could be placed there, and you can do the blogs for them, and they can have prime placement on your front page, and you can do that, and you can do the whole media kit thing with the PressRanger. That's easy. And I'm not making this up. I'm just doing the napkin math. That's easy 50K a
That's an
month.
easy beginner business that will work for beginners all the way to advanced. And I think my closing thought on this is that PR is a really good thing if you run in transitioning a point in time agency. Like I'm building a website, I'm doing a one-time thing for a client, transitioning them into a recurring retainer. If you already have a recurring retainer, it's a great bolt-on. It works in both those agency models, and we're seeing people print money with these.
That's crazy. I literally thank you, Steve. Thank you for coming on because I gotta tell you, I think I take it for granted that, I kind of know you, and I was like, oh, that's Steve. If I have a PR question, I can just ask him or whatever. But that's why I like having these Saturday sessions because normally in during the week you're in a hustle and bustle and you're trying to do this, you're probably trying to make payroll, you're trying to, you got vendors you got to pay and you got to do all this. I like to do Saturdays because just focused on clearing our mind and just having a white paper kind of session and a chalkboard kind of talk things through. This is great. You just gave me some extra juice. Now I can give my wife permission. Hopefully she's not listening to this podcast. I can actually give her permission to say, you know what, honey, it's okay. And one thing I did discover, right, as we close out, and I'm sure you'll even appreciate this, Steve, or anybody's listening to this, right? Um, what I've determined and what I've figured out, make no mistake about this. Um, when you retire, because what retirement is really protecting one's lifestyle. That's really without doing any more work. And so what people are, that's what everybody's after achieve. That's what they're trying to achieve. Can I retire, not change my living standards, not go below those, but can I maintain it? And really, honestly, what I'm figuring out working with all these clients, I've been in this business almost 30 years. What I've seen more consistently often than not is everything continues to go up with the cost of inflation. It's almost, to me, it's inevitable that you'll almost have to, if you didn't do a lot of, if you didn't make a lot of the right decisions early on by saving for retirement or doing 401ks, all your traditional things, because we were really just trying to live. We were just trying to make it from paycheck to paycheck. So we says, oh, I'd rather have more in my monthly income than to put into retirement right now. And if you didn't make those decisions, what I'm finding is people will need some type of side hustle or something that's going to generate additional income. And I know that because I work with retirees every day. My mom tells me the price of medication is like a yo-yo. One year it's like this. You'll have a congressional, law that changes the cost of medicine and it goes down, but then that law sunsets. So now my price goes back up. There's these many changes that happen in your monthly budget. And what I basically want to tell you is you have to have some type of side hustle or some type of revenue generating idea or some type of business on the side that allow you to keep up with inflation. That's just only if you didn't make these decisions. So I kind of wanted to leave you with that. This is, the game is changing, right? And I think this is the perfect tool. I think PressRanger is the perfect tool. It is, to me, it's not a heavy lifting tool. I don't have to go outside to sweat. I don't have to stand in the sun and pour concrete. This is a type of tool that allows you to make money in your sleep. You roll out of bed, put your pajamas on, and run this type of business. This has been Jenny Jones. I'm going to let Steve have the last word if he has anything left for you guys. I just wanted you guys, this is the reason why I'm doing this Saturdays, so we can blank out all this other noise throughout the week and we can concentrate on trying to grow our businesses and take them to the next level. I'm going to allow Steve to close you guys out with the last word.
So Jenny, in 60 minutes, we got your wife to retire and we also gave her a new job. I think that's pretty impressive for 60 minutes on a Saturday. But if anyone out there is thinking about doing this, wants to resell press releases, wants to start their own campaigns, wants to run campaigns for their own business, or just wants to discuss ideas, shoot me an email. It's steve@pressranger.com. Sign up for a free trial, play with the tool. Let me know if you have any questions. We're always happy to help. We're very hands-on with customers, very hands-on with clients. We want to see you guys succeed. So don't be strangers. Reach out over email if you have questions.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for the time. Go out with your little one, go out with your family. You guys have, I think you have a dog too, right?
I got a dog, I got a kid, I got a wife, I got the whole pack.
That's why you be grinding out here, right? And you live in California. my joke is, he's like, man, how's it living in California? I said, man, listen, everybody out here is grinding. I said, my goldfish gets up every morning, puts on his hat and briefcase. He's out hustling, right? This is California, man. This is,
Get that goldfish. Get that goldfish selling press releases, Jenny.
You know? No. Hey, I appreciate you, Steve, so much. Hang around afterwards. I'm gonna close out. Hey, you guys have been great. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on this Saturday's edition. This was awesome. Isn't Steve awesome? Steve's awesome, man. I love that. You guys take care. Until next time. Goodbye for now.